Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Michael. You are watching IDB, and in this video I want to talk about the iPad mini. Apple has recently refreshed the iPad mini, and I believe this is one of the best iPads that you can buy in 2025. And in this video I'll be talking about 10 reasons why I believe that. Let's go ahead, roll the intro, and jump right in. So this iPad mini is the iPad mini 7th generation, and when you compare it to the 6th generation, it really looks identical. Like, you can't tell that this is the new iPad unless you get the new color, of course. But the iPad mini 6 compared to this one, the 7, is essentially just a spec bump. So Apple made the Wi-Fi faster, they made the processor faster as it now supports Apple Intelligence, and they also introduced a few Apple Pencil features. And probably my favorite one and my number one reason to buy this iPad in 2025 is Apple has actually introduced higher storage for the base model iPad mini. I really wasn't recommending the iPad mini to anybody before this update because it was starting at 64 gigabytes, which is ridiculous. I barely have anything on this iPad, and you can see it's already down from 128 to 91. So I think starting at 128 is the bare minimum for any device in 2025, iPhone or iPad. So it's really nice that Apple is now giving us a lot more storage, as when you were starting with 64 on the previous model, once the OS was set up and you downloaded a few applications, you wouldn't really have that much storage left if you want to store anything offline. So now we have a lot more storage, and Apple has kept the starting price exactly the same, which is great. Next up at number 2 is the biometrics on the iPad mini. Because this is not an iPad Pro, the iPad mini has Touch ID, and it lives on the power button here on the side. Now, I'm actually going to argue that Touch ID may possibly be better than Face ID for this iPad. So when you see the commercials, you see Apple is marketing the iPad mini at pilots because the iPad is nice and portable and it can fit in the cockpit. They also market it at nurses and doctors. And all those situations, I could argue Touch ID would actually be better. So if you're a nurse or a doctor in a hospital and you need this and you're taking it around, you're doing your rounds, you may have a mask on because you're in a hospital or a clinic. So Touch ID may actually be better. And also, if you're a pilot and you have this in the cockpit, there's a lot of glare up there. The sun could be directly on your face. And if you are an iPhone user with Face ID, you know that if the sun is hitting your face directly, Face ID just will not work. So there are situations where Touch ID is a lot better, where a direct touch of the device for biometric authentication can actually be better. Of course, Face ID is convenient in a few other situations. So for example, when I want to autofill a password, if I had an iPad Pro with Face ID, all I would have to do is look at my iPad and it would be authenticated. But now I have to do that extra step of actually touching my iPad. So you could argue it both ways. I just think for Apple, it's cheaper to implement Touch ID instead of Face ID. But again, for some people in certain situations, Touch ID could actually be better. Alrighty, next up at number 3, we are going to talk about the USB-C port. Because this iPad mini is so small and designed to be taken anywhere, you can also use it as a portable battery bank. So if you have any USB-C cable, you can charge pretty much any device. So if I plug this end into the iPad, and then find the other end of my cable and plug in my iPhone, I may get a message on my iPad first, but you can see my iPhone is now charging right there. You can charge any accessory, you can charge a Bluetooth speaker, you can charge your AirPods, you can charge your Apple Watch. Pretty much anything is able to be charged with the iPad mini's USB-C port. And then on top of this, the USB-C port also supports external hard drives, which is fantastic in iPadOS and even better on such a small and portable iPad mini. You can see when I plug in this hard drive, I can open up the Files application and the SSD shows up right here on the side, and here is all of my files. Next at number 4 is the Apple Pencil. The iPad mini 7 supports the Apple Pencil Pro. It also supports older generation Apple Pencils, but if you're going to buy an Apple Pencil with the iPad mini, I would definitely recommend getting the Apple Pencil Pro because it has a lot of really cool features. The first one is hover. So it can actually sense the tip of the Apple Pencil before it touches the display, and you can even see this on your home screen. So here, if you go to select icons, you can see the icons actually get bigger before you click on them. So it's kind of cool and gives you a little bit more precision. And also, when you're in the Notes app, talk about attention to detail, because when you hold the Apple Pencil near the display, you actually get a fake shadow of the Apple Pencil right there, as you can see. It's very faint, but you can see the dark shadow is actually being made onto the iPad screen in the software, not from actual lighting in my studio. And the Apple Pencil Pro also supports what's called a barrel roll. So you can change the stroke based on how you rotate the pencil in your hand. I'll try to get an up close visual of this. So if I hover the pencil, you can see I can rotate it in my hand, and it's going to give me a preview of what the stroke will look like. And the Apple Pencil Pro also has a menu that you can get to pop up if you squeeze the barrel. So you can change to a different tool, you can undo, you can change color, you can also click on the menu to get even more options right here. In my opinion, this menu that shows up when you squeeze the Pencil Pro is infinitely better than the old double tap feature that they had. Of course, this still works if you are used to the old Apple Pencil, but now you can get even more tools if you simply squeeze your Apple Pencil. But since we're talking about the Apple Pencil, this is a perfect time to transition into our sponsor for this video, Paperlike. If you're using your iPad for writing or drawing, you need to check out Paperlike 2.1. It's a screen protector designed to make your Apple Pencil feel just like writing on paper. With the nanodots technology, it adds just the right amount of resistance for precision strokes without sacrificing any screen clarity. You're going to take neater notes, draw with more accuracy, and enjoy the process so much more. For students making the switch from paper to iPad, it's a no-brainer. It makes the transition so seamless while keeping that natural, familiar feel of handwriting. Artists and designers and productivity enthusiasts will also love how much it elevates the experience of working on iPad. Paperlike is ultra thin, it reduces glare on your iPad's display, and it also reduces fingerprints. And on top of all this, it comes with a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, so there's literally no risk for giving it a try. You can grab Paperlike using our link in the description down below, and thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Next up at number 5 is Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence, I believe, is the only reason this iPad even exists in the first place. Because Apple was ready to ship their AI, they needed all of their devices to support it so they could get sales. And the previous iPad mini, the processor inside it didn't support Apple Intelligence, so they had to give the iPad mini a spec bump to a processor that did support Apple Intelligence. I'll just give you a quick taste of what you get with Apple's AI in this video. If you want a full video of all the Apple Intelligence features, I will have that linked below in the description. But one of the most commonly used features of Apple Intelligence is the writing tools. So here, if you have some text, I'll go ahead and select it. You'll see we have an option and we can choose writing tools. So here we can change this to professional, and then it's going to analyze the text. Then as you can see, it has made that a lot more professional. I really think that this is going to be useful if you're writing emails or sending professional messages. I think it's going to make it a lot easier because you can type out the message in your own style and then select the text and then make it professional. You don't actually have to take the time to make it sound professional. Take that from me, I am horrible at writing professional sounding messages, so this has been a game changer for me. Also, Apple Intelligence now has a smarter Siri, so you can stumble over your words and correct yourself and it's still gonna know what you mean. What's the weather in what's the weather in Los Angeles? So you can see here it gives me the weather for what I corrected it to. It just is a lot better at understanding natural language, which I really like. And Apple Intelligence is not fully out yet, so at the time you're watching this video, we are only on iOS 18.2 and iOS 18.3 is in beta. And I believe we're not getting the full set of Apple Intelligence features until iOS 18.4. So we are still quite a ways away from seeing that. But one of the newest features as of recording this video is ChatGPT integration. So you can use Siri with ChatGPT. So if you are upgraded to iOS 18.2 on this iPad mini, you can click on Apple Intelligence and Siri. And if you turn on ChatGPT right here, you can use ChatGPT with Siri. And I'll show you how this works. Ask ChatGPT for a chicken recipe. And then here, after it loads for a bit, it gives you everything you asked for. And if you want to copy that to your clipboard, you can click on this icon up here on the top right. And then, for example, we could take it into notes. And then I'll go ahead and get rid of this text. And then I will paste in our new recipe, just like this. And then here is our recipe created by ChatGPT using Siri. But this is just scratching the surface, as I said before. So if you want more information on Apple Intelligence, make sure to check out our full video. I'll have it linked below. Next up, at reason number 6, you should buy the iPad mini 7 is its portability. This iPad mini does something that no other iPad can do, and it is simply small. No other iPad is this small. You can hold it in one hand and it just feels so compact. It really gives you that feeling of I can take this anywhere and do anything. This is the only iPad mini I can fit in my back pocket, for example, and if I'm wearing the right pair of jeans, I can actually fit it in my front pocket. So it is just a fantastic size. What I really like about this iPad also is texting. So I can hold it if I don't have the Apple Pencil on. I can hold it just like my iPhone and start typing, and this is so comfortable. If I try doing this on any other device, it feels a little bit too uncomfortable, but here, this keyboard size is literally perfect for thumb texting. I really do think Apple has hit the sweet spot here in terms of size for the iPad. I do have pretty large hands, but you can see just how easy it is for me to hold this in one hand. You literally cannot do this with any other iPad. Reason number 7 you should buy the iPad mini is this thing can essentially be a take anywhere, ultra portable sketchbook and notebook. When you combine this with the Apple Pencil, you can take the Apple Pencil off, tap the pencil to the screen, and instantly start drawing or writing any ideas or any sketches. This is extremely useful, and when you combine it with the paper-like screen protector, this thing is like drawing on paper. It's amazing. And the iPad excels at being a personal notebook because of all of the built-in features, not only the ones we talked about earlier, like the Apple Pencil Squeeze feature, but also the iPad can detect text really well. So if you press and hold on some text you wrote in your own handwriting, you can choose to convert it to plain text. You can also copy it as text, and you can also straighten it, which is awesome. For me, I have a bad habit of writing in a slant, but if you hit straighten, you can actually make all of your text a lot more aligned. The next reason you should buy the iPad mini is for FaceTime. The iPad mini is infinitely better at FaceTiming than the iPhone, and that is for one reason and one reason only, and it is the front-facing camera. The front-facing camera on the iPad mini is ultra-wide, which means it has a feature called center stage. So center stage allows you to be followed, and I think it uses some sort of AI to track your face and zoom in smoothly on you, and there's no easier way to explain it, so I'll just simply show you. Inside of the FaceTime app, you can see you don't even have to be on a call. You can just open the app and try it out yourself. If I lean over here, it'll follow me. If I lean over here, it'll follow me. Even if I lean back in my chair and I try to hide from the camera, you can see it's gonna zoom in way close to my face. So there's no escaping from this ultra-wide camera. It is really, really cool. You can prop up your iPad essentially anywhere, and your iPad is always going to follow where you move throughout your room on the FaceTime call. Alrighty, next up is number 9, and I'm just gonna say it, this is my favorite feature of the entire video, and it is how the iPad works so well with my Mac. So here, I'm gonna put my MacBook Air right here, and I'll place my iPad mini right next to my Mac. I don't change any settings. I don't set anything up. In fact, I just reset this iPad mini recently. Here is my cursor on my Mac, and if I push my cursor to the right, you can see I'm now controlling my iPad mini. I can open up the camera like this. I can go home by swiping up on my Mac's trackpad. I can go into Control Center like this. I can essentially do anything on my iPad using the controls on my Mac. Even if I go Command Space, I can actually open Spotlight, and I can type in weather. I can open the app just like this, and this is all using the keyboard and trackpad on my Mac. It just works so well. You don't have to set anything up. Literally, all you have to do is have your iPad next to your Mac and make sure they're both signed into the same Apple ID. That is it. And then you can also drag and drop across the iPad to the Mac, which is really, really cool. So here I have some files. Let's just select this audio message right here, and I can drag it across to my Mac just like this. And even though these are two completely separate operating systems, it still works so well. So we can go from iPadOS to macOS using the same peripherals. It really feels futuristic, and I think this is one of the best features Apple has ever made, hands down. So what's really great about this feature is essentially one day you can be using your iPad mini as a little second display for your Mac, and then the next day you can take off all of the accessories and essentially use it as a large iPhone and just start texting on it. It really can do anything that you want it to, and that's where I love the iPad mini so much, because it has this much power, but it is so portable. And finally, at number 10, we have multitasking. Multitasking on the iPad mini is fantastic because you can have two full-size applications side by side, but the iPad is still small enough and portable enough where you can maneuver the iPad and still reach every corner of the display. So for example, we could be in Safari, but then if we also want to be on Twitter, I can simply grab it and drag it in just like this, and now I have Safari and Twitter side by side. If I want to have one of the applications bigger, I can simply drag it and do a 75-25 split just like this. And you can imagine just how useful this would be. For example, if you want to have your notes on the left-hand side with your emails a little bit smaller on the right-hand side, you can be taking notes on your emails. I use this all the time when I'm on site for work. So I'll have the web portal that I use for work in Safari, and I'll also have notes I'm taking for the customer on the right-hand side. It is very useful, and I don't know why the iPhones don't have this yet, because I think the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the screen is big enough where you could have a top-down split view. But for now, the iPad is the only operating system that supports split view, and it really does work well, and this truly is the only touch screen Apple device that you can have true multitasking on. And I almost forgot, you can have something that isn't side-by-side split view. You can also have something called slide over. So if I'm in Safari, for example, if I want to have Twitter on top of Safari, I can simply drag it, and instead of doing this, I can do this. And now Twitter is in a pop-up window, and I can simply flick it away when I don't need it, and I can bring it back when I do need it. So just me simply making this video got me excited to use my iPad, because this thing truly can do a lot. And honestly, the iPad gets overlooked so much because of the other products in Apple's ecosystem, such as the Apple Watch and the iPhone. I feel like the iPad sometimes doesn't get as much love, but this really is an amazing device. And in my opinion, I think the iPad mini in this form factor is the best iPad that you can buy in 2025. So I want to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this video. And if you have an iPad mini, or if you're thinking about buying an iPad mini, also let me know down below. And thanks again to Paperlife for sponsoring this video. I will have them linked in the description if you want to check it out and make your writing experience on the iPad even better. With all that said, my name is Michael. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year. I'll see you in the next video.